Okay, so we've got the PortalFuse Weekly Security Update Report, the Windows and Edge edition this time.
Right.
It's dated March 18th to the 25th, 2025.
Okay.
And so, anyone managing Microsoft environments,
Yeah.
this is like the go-to,
Yeah.
to see what with the latest MSRC postings and all that support documentation.
Yeah.
For sure. So we're going to kind of break down, like the key security vulnerabilities
Yeah.
highlighted in this week's report.
Cool.
Focusing on the remote desktop client and Microsoft Edge.
Yeah, it's nice that they pull out these important things because there's a lot of stuff in there sometimes.
Right.
And it's like, what do I really need to pay attention to?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're like, really deep into RDS or have, tons of Edge users.
Right.
So let's get into it.
All right. So first up, CVE 2025-26645.
Okay.
This is a remote desktop client, remote code execution vulnerability.
Uh-huh.
And the report gives us an 8.8 CVSS score.
Yeah.
Which is pretty significant.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah.
So this one lets an attacker run code on a victim's machine.
Okay.
And they don't even have to be authenticated.
Oh, yeah.
And it all happens over the network.
Okay.
The problem is there's not enough access control.
Right.
And there's also this relative path traversal vulnerability
Yeah.
in the remote desktop client itself.
So, like, how would an attacker actually do this?
Well, they'd have to get control of a malicious remote desktop server.
Right.
And then they just have to get a user to connect to that server.
With a vulnerable client.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Right.
Then they can use those access control problems and the path traversal to run their code.
Got it.
On the victim's machine.
On the victim's machine, so.
Yeah, and, almost everybody uses RDP.
Yeah, of course, yeah. For remote admin and all that.
So this is a scary one, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So what can people do about this?
Well, Microsoft has released some security updates for this.
Okay.
There are a bunch of KB articles that cover it. You've got KB 5053636, KB 5053602, and KB 5053598.
Got it.
Those were actually released around March 11th.
So, but this PortalFuse report, the recent one.
Right.
It came out just now.
Uh-huh.
Is it just about updating the links to these security updates?
Yeah, basically the vulnerability and the fix are the same.
Got it.
They just wanted to make sure everyone had the right links to the patches.
Right.
It's a small thing, but it's important,
Absolutely, you need to be able to find the patches.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to CVE 2025-29806.
Okay.
This is a remote code execution vulnerability in Microsoft Edge.
Right.
The Chromium-based one.
Uh-huh.
This one's a little different, right?
It is.
You need to get the user to do something.
Yeah, you have to trick them a little.
Okay.
It can still lead to remote code execution.
Right.
But the attacker needs to get the user to click on a special URL.
Oh, so like social engineering kind of thing.
Exactly.
To trick them into clicking the link.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And that's different from the RDP thing.
Yeah.
They just have to connect.
Right, right.
So the problem is in the renderer process of Edge,
What?
when the user clicks that bad URL,
Yeah.
it triggers the flaw in the renderer.
Okay.
And then the attacker can run code.
Within that process?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the fix is to update Edge to a specific version.
That's right. They need to be on version 129.0.2792.52
Of Edge.
Of Microsoft Edge, yes.
Okay. And is there a way to check that?
Oh, yeah. The report has this PowerShell command.
Okay.
Get Apex package, Microsoft Edge, select name, package full name, version. That'll let you see what version of Edge is on each system.
Very cool. That's really handy.
Yeah.
All right. So there's one last vulnerability in this report that's about Edge.
Uh-huh.
CVE 2025-2476.
Okay.
And this one's a use after free vulnerability.
Right.
In the lens feature.
Yeah, this one's interesting because it actually comes from Chromium.
Oh, okay.
So it's not directly Microsoft's fault, but it still affects Edge users.
Okay, so use after free, what's that exactly?
So it happens when memory that's been freed up is accessed again, which can corrupt the memory.
Right.
And that can let an attacker run their own code.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And Microsoft has fixed this by incorporating the fix from Chromium into Edge version 134.0.3124.83,
right,
which came out March 21st.
Okay, of this year.
Yes.
So just like the last one, update Edge, you good.
Exactly.
All right, so just to wrap up then, the big things from this report are a pretty serious remote code execution in the remote desktop client.
Yep.
all you have to do is connect to a compromised server.
Right.
Then you've got another remote code execution in Edge.
Yeah. The Chromium-based one?
Right, but this one you have to click a link.
That's right. So user interaction is required.
Okay, and then the last one is that use after free
Right.
in the Edge Lens feature.
Yeah. Coming from Chromium.
Right, so basically for all of these, just make sure everything is updated.
That's the key takeaway here, yeah.
Update the remote desktop client.
Uh-huh.
Update Edge.
Absolutely. Otherwise, you're leaving yourself open to attack.
Yeah, it's never ending, right?
It's not.
Always something new to worry about.
Yep. You got to stay on top of it.
Yeah, always be patching and be careful.
I think these reports are really helpful, though.
Oh, for sure.
They pull together all the important stuff about vulnerabilities.
Absolutely.
And that's really useful for keeping things secure.
Yeah, I mean, this week's report is a good example.
It is.
It reminds us that we can't let our guard down.
Exactly. You always have to be thinking about security.
For sure. Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Always good talking to you about this stuff.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
Yeah, and hopefully everyone listening will, stay safe out there
To be vigilant.
and keep those systems patched.
Absolutely.
All right, until next time.
See ya.
Bye.